Good evening, everyone, and welcome to our very first fireside chat and live session on the GSS Talent Hub. We are coming to you live on the Talent Hub page, and we are also streaming on our Facebook and YouTube channels. It is my pleasure to welcome you all to this session as we discuss the topic BPOs more than call centers. This is a very relevant and timely topic because we know the thoughts and the conversations surrounding the BPO industry. And we are here today to have a discussion with professionals operating in the industry to address some of your concerns. Now, before we get into the discussion, I just want to provide our viewers with some background information. So, the GSS project is a 5 year project currently in its fifth and final year that seeks to support the government of Jamaica to develop the global services sector through the strengthening the, through strengthening the pipeline of talent and the investment ecosystem to increase foreign direct investment and export of services. The global services sector is, of course, comprised of business process outsourcing, BPO, information technology outsourcing, ITO, and knowledge process outsourcing, KPO. Now, the project is being executed by the Jamaica Promotions Corporation, also known as JAMPRO. So, the global services sector, or just GSS as we like to call it, also includes the KPO and ITO segments as mentioned, and we will explore these in subsequent live sessions. But today, our focus is on the BPO segment, and I have three very special guests to help me in our discussion today. So, our first guest is an experienced learning and development manager with a demonstrated history of working in the outsourcing and offshoring industry, skilled in training program design, coaching, training needs analysis, training facilitation, and contact centers. She is a strong human resources professional supported by her background in education and training. She is Ingrid Marshall, Associate Director of Organization Development at Sagility. Welcome, Ingrid.
Having me today. Good evening to all our listeners.
Great. So, our next guest is an experienced training, learning, and development facilitator and manager, now podcaster. She also offers knowledge, practical experiences, critical thinking skills, writing and facilitation skill services to individuals and organizations to help groom them to higher levels. She has a passion for people and their development, which she believes in itself gives back to the greater good of an organization. She is Kadian Kerr, Manager of Global Innovative Leadership and Career Experiences at VXI Global Solutions. Welcome, Kadian.
Thanks, Sydney. Hi, everyone. Happy to be here.
Great. So, our final guest is someone who initially wanted to become a teacher and she found herself employed in the BPO industry. And although it was not her initial career path, she grew and she blossomed where she was planted and moved up the ranks from an entry level position and is now an auditor with National Credit Adjusters. Welcome, Samantha Martin, who continues to go above and beyond in ensuring that her job is done to the best of her ability.
Good evening, everyone, and thank you for having me. It's an honor to be here this evening.
Right, we know that you're having some technical difficulties, Samantha, but we're so grateful that you could join us today. Welcome to all you ladies. Thank you for joining us for our first fireside chat on the GSS Talent Hub. Now, the industry has grown significantly over the past few years, and despite COVID, has grown to over 59,000 individuals being employed within the sector currently, with a target of growing to 70,000 in 2024. Now, many persons regard the industry and particularly the BPO segment as just a temporary pass through job. You just take it to make ends meet before moving on to something else because there's absolutely no growth or merit in staying or making a career out of it. Right. And we've heard it being called things such as a sweatshop and a wealth of other things. So let's get right into the discussion. Ladies, please tell me some common misconceptions that people have about the BPO industry, particularly as it relates to the limited career paths and the working conditions. And let me start with you, Ingrid.
Okay, thank you, Tene. And you've hit the nail right on the head when you said sweatshop, because that is the most common um, description that I have heard. And persons refer to it as a sweatshop because they think that what we do, and it's so rigid and monotone, it's routine. And you have persons, basically they think of it like a factory, and little would they know that in our industry, persons are allowed to be creative. They have this opportunity to put their own spin on whatever they touch. They have that opportunity to be themselves. As an experienced teacher, when I entered into this industry, I said, I didn't know this world exists where I could, you know, engage persons in conversation about whatever they have brought to the table, while conforming to the guidelines given, of course. But to be paid to speak is something that we don't normally get. And just hearing persons refer to it, the first time I heard them talk about it as a sweatshop, I had to help them to understand that this industry is not a sweatshop. A sweatshop, you think of someone that is out in the field and they are in the sun, and you think of something that is not recognized or appreciated, and that is certainly not what we have in our industry.
Right. Thanks for sharing that, Ingrid. Because I must confess, before I became associated with the GSS project, I too had the notion that it's just something that I heard a lot about those conditions to say it's a sweatshop, you're overworked and all of
Hmm.
that. And coming into it, I realized now that it's so much more than that. Kadian, what's your feedback? What are some of the common misconceptions that you have heard?
Well, I definitely agree with Ingrid in regards to that. For me, one of the main things we hear a lot of times is modern day slavery with
Right.
just getting a stipend, right? And Ingrid is over there laughing because I remember when I was an agent, I heard these conceptions. I heard these and I was like, is this for real? But then I got to realize it's not as people make it seems, right? So I would encourage people to really get to know it for yourselves because the BP offers so much more than just getting a 40-hour work week pay. We're getting lunch allowance. Many companies offer lunch allowance, travel allowances, health and life insurance, career development opportunities, along with training. Now, let's be real. How many jobs offer you the opportunity to train you and pay you to be trained to do the job and then constantly offer you coaching, mentoring and development? So I definitely, say listen, don't listen to those things that they're saying. It's not modern day slavery. I believe a lot of people are just envious of us. And I'm going to just say, because I wear the fact that I'm a, a part of the GSS with pride. Because a lot of us, young people, would not be able to achieve our first car, our first home, be able to buy furniture, buy bed, move out of our parents' homes if it wasn't for this quote unquote modern day slavery that they're so much saying out there. So it's not modern day slavery. Go check it out for yourself. Experience teach wisdom. I'll leave it right there.
All right. Thanks for that, Kadian. Samantha, how about you?
Okay, so for me, well, I must say I do agree with what you ladies have just elaborated on. For me, one of the main misconceptions that I've always heard is that call center does not pay, or call center work is easy. So, if you want something easy, just go in there. Now, being in the call center for quite a number of years, I must say that it is not true. Also, it can be true. Now, in the event that you are qualified enough for a certain position in a call center, you will get paid. But if you don't have any qualifications and you are looking for something easy, you are going to choose a call center that does not require much. Therefore, you won't be getting a lot of money. Also, a lot of persons enter into the call center expecting that they are just going to go in and start making a lot of money, which for the most part, that is not true. Sometimes you have to work your way up. You have to put in the work in order for you to benefit from more money in the long run. So a lot of persons look at it like, oh, they don't pay, so I'm not going in there. It's not true. Test the waters for yourself. You can't listen to everything that you hear. And most of the time, some of these persons, they're in the call center, they are making money, but they're going to tell you that call center does not pay. Go in there for yourself, experience it for yourself, and then you decide if you want to stay with not getting enough money, or you want to work your way up where you can get enough money.
All right.
So
Yes, thanks for that, Samantha. And we're going to go into that a little bit more. But here we are talking about the different roles and job opportunities that are available within the GSS. And we're telling persons that it's not just call center or contact center roles. So, what are some of the actual roles and career paths in the industry outside of these customer facing roles? What are some of the paths that persons can actually embark on? Let me start with you, Kadian.
Well, for me, I definitely want to say I spent a short time as an agent handling contacts. And then I went into training and development. So I served in the capacity of being a trainer, a facilitator. So it's not just about taking calls. As a trainer, you are one of the first set of people that potential, or rather new candidates come in and they see. So it's what you are going to make of the industry, make of the company that you represent, that speaks volume for that individual. So of course you can definitely try your training and development, become a trainer. You can try your quality to become a quality analyst. Currently I serve in global leadership development, where it's all about leadership development. We are also a part of the HR family. So it's not just about taking calls. You can work in HR. You can, if you have a teaching background, you can definitely, as Ingrid has a teaching background, go explore leadership development or training and development, whichever you see best. But it's not just taking calls.
Okay, and we're going to go a little bit more into how persons can step into some of those roles that you have just mentioned in just a bit. Ingrid, let's have your take. What are some of the roles outside of contact center roles that persons can actually explore?
Uh, well, Tenny, let me tell you this. Uh, I would not want to discount the value of persons who work on the phone, because that experience is very important. That's where I started, and that's when I learned where I mastered the craft of engaging persons in conversation, disarming persons, and fulfilling their fulfilling their and make them satisfied without even giving them what they wanted. And that is a craft that not everyone has mastered or is able to master. But with experience, speaking to someone over the phone, when you're not seeing them in front of you, you get that opportunity to master that skill. And I think if persons get to master that opportunity, then the sky is the limit. You have opportunities in, well, facilities management, because all of these BPOs have facilities. They are operating in a space. And
Right.
therefore you would need to have persons who would manage the facilities, and and these persons look at the infrastructure. They look to ensure that some things like transportation is in place for those organizations that provide transportation services. You have for those catering needs as well. And my good friend Katie mentioned HR. When you look at HR, there are so many aspects of HR. A lot of persons believe that it's just personnel management, and that's not it. Because HR has the management portion and it also has the development portion. And the management portion, and you also have the engagement portion, because engagement has to do with how you keep your employees happy, how you keep them wanting to stay at your organizations. What are the services that you provide that will make them know that, listen, you're taking care of them? So you have HR, you have facilities management, then there's IT, because in the BPO, there are computers. You need computers, you need the IT, you need the IT team to set up the network and to provide you with your connections. And I mean, considering that you have to connect quite, most of us, we don't operate for services in Jamaica. We're operating for providers overseas,
Right.
right? So there is that need for the communications, and then there's the logistics. Those persons who deal with, transportation or traveling, for persons who have to go overseas or for things to come into the country as well. For those persons who probably are, budding accountants or persons who are interested in accounting, we have to pay our employees. So there are payroll opportunities. There's a need for us to satisfy the tax administration requirements as well. So those persons who have those skill sets, there are opportunities there. And of course, I must mention that our we have projects as well in our BPO sector. We have projects. So for those persons who are project managers, there are opportunities in project management in BPO space. And there are so many more that I could name, Tene, but I just want persons to understand that, listen, if you have a certain skill set, what the attitude that you should have is, how do I make it work for me in the space where opportunities are available? And the BPO sector is where you'll find many of those opportunities.
Right. Thanks for sharing that, Ingrid. I'm sure our viewers, those who may be new to the GSS and just curious about what it's all about, are right now saying, I did not know that those career paths were actually available in the BPO. So we're learning tonight. Samantha, do you have anything you want to add or not yet? Okay. So I just want to now explore your personal journeys and backgrounds a little bit. So I think we've started to touch on it in terms of where you are coming from and where you are now. But I just want to find out a little bit more about what your personal experience in the industry has been like, and have you experienced growth? I know the answer to that last part because I can see your titles, but just tell us a little bit about where you started and where you are now. Let me go to Kadian and then we can hear from Samantha and then Ingrid.
Sure. Very good question right there, Tini. So I started like many people in the BPO. I started as an agent, but I never stopped there. As Ingrid said, being an agent, that's when you really start to get a feel of what the business is. And you look towards, oh my God, I want to grow. But backstory, no, I never wanted to work in a BPO. I didn't even know BPOs existed. But when you can't find a job, and you have no other option, and you hear about BPO, everyone making money, moving out of their parents' home, buying furniture, paying down on a car, you say, it sounds like something I would try. So, of course, that's how I got into the BPO. After being an agent for a short period of time, I went over into operations. I did maybe 6 months or so thereabouts. But my love, my passion was training and development. And I went right into that. From that, of course, I continued to climb. While I was pregnant, I got promoted 3 times. Now, coming from a corporate background, I never believed that, okay, a few weeks to giving birth, I could be promoted. And I got that in the BPO. There was no discrimination. So when I hear people talk about modern day slavery, all the discrimination, patty shop, sweatshop, it don't work, because I'm a living testimony that I was pregnant, about to give birth to my daughter, and I got promoted because of the work that I put into place. And since I've continuously been growing, I've seen a lot of people grow, and I'm proud of them. I'm definitely happy to be a part of the global services sector, and I'm appreciative of what I have accomplished and yet to accomplish in life because of this wonderful industry.
Thanks for sharing that, Kaden. And I think a lot of persons who are listening now can actually relate to that. Persons who may have maybe in a similar situation to say, okay, maybe I have a child and I feel like my career is going to be stunted because of this. But you are proof that that does not have to be the case. And if you put in the work and you continue to stay motivated, you can actually grow in the GSS. So thanks for that, Kadian. Samantha, let's go over to you. What has your experience been like?
So, my experience in the call center environment has been a challenging, bittersweet one from the beginning. So, I have never seen myself working in a call center. Never. I I left high school, went straight into teachers college because I've always wanted to be a teacher. That was my passion. And I finished teachers college and was teaching. Now, being in the classroom, it was challenging, but because that's what I wanted to do, I was going to tough it out. However, I got pregnant, and after getting pregnant, it started to get hectic because the workload, the late nights and all of that, it wasn't an ideal situation for me. So I left the classroom, and after having my son, I decided that I wanted something a bit more convenient for me at the moment until he's old enough, then I can go back into the classroom. So I tried the call center. I've always been a contact agent, and to be honest, I was pretty good at what I do, but that was not what I wanted to do. I do it because I had to. So it was not something that I enjoyed doing. However, when I started National Credit Adjusters back in 2019, I started off as a collection agent. I was pretty good at what I did, and even though I wanted more, I did not see myself being a collector for a long time. So being that I was doing good, I got promoted within a year to another department, collections, just the same, but it was a higher department from the one that I was previously in. And I was
Okay, I think we lost Samantha. So when she joins us again, we'll hear a little bit more about her journey. In the meantime, let's go to you, Ingrid.
And my growth. I have experienced growth, and in my organization where I currently work, I've been there for 6 plus years, and I've grown as the company grows. And that's because when I started, offering leadership development, and have moved up the ranks. Now I'm working with a global team that focuses on organization development. And the focus, the experience that I've had is not just change of title, but exposure to different departments and different functions, and how the functions work together, and exposure to the industry in a bigger sphere, seeing and working with persons in the GSS team, the project team, I see that as growth because it's outside of what I'm accustomed to. It's
Right.
outside and it's something that you get an opportunity to master. So I see that as growth. I've grown in the organization, I've grown in the industry. I see myself as an authority figure because I have certain experiences that allows me to speak with wisdom, that allows me to share from my experience and share from the experiences of others too, where others can take a lesson and learn and apply to their situation. And I really have I when I left teaching, because I was teaching at a very prominent school, high school, and when I left that classroom, it was to pursue opportunities to advance myself in my area of study, which is business. So I wanted to become a chartered accountant. And I left to pursue that. And it didn't work out, but I entered into a call center. It was a captive call center at that time. And when I entered into that field, that was when I got the exposure of how great it is to be talking to persons on the other end and doing what I love to do, which is to talk, and knowing that I was getting paid for it rather than being told that you talk too much, right? But it was an opportunity for me to apply myself and apply the lessons that I learned from my daily encounters so that I can master my craft and that I can become, an authority in terms of customer interaction, in terms of, and when we talk about customers, we're talking about our internal and external customers because I have to be providing development experiences for employees within the organization to help them to be better at what they do in the different departments. Not talk. I'm not referring to those persons who are interacting with customers or external customers on the phone. I'm
Oh,
talking about our internal support system, to ensure that we have a strong structure and a strong team in place that would be able to support and help the team to deliver on what we have been committed to do.
okay. Thanks for sharing that, Ingrid. And what I love about hearing these stories stemming from your personal journeys is how relatable it is to persons who are listening. So, you may have persons listening right now coming from a teaching background and saying, I'd like to transition into something else, but I'm not quite sure what to do. And now they're hearing there are opportunities for them with that training, teaching background in the GSS. And so there's some hope for them to actually grow in their careers and to maybe do a little bit more than they thought that they could do. And also for, Kadian and Samantha, hearing that, okay, becoming a mother has not stopped you from achieving your goals, your professional goals, and really growing in your career. And I think that's something that persons listening to want to hear. They want to hear the kind of story to really say that this is, if these people are doing this, then I can do this too. I can achieve this as well. So it's always great hearing the personal story behind the person and behind the title just to motivate and inspire other persons so that they can then do the same. And so we're going to go into advice now. What advice would you give to persons who are having doubts about entering the industry? We have been kind of dispelling the misconceptions, but we know that they still exist. We know that those conversations still are happening around the industry. So, what advice would you give to persons who have these doubts about entering the industry and that there are opportunities that exist for them to grow as professionals? I think Samantha has joined us again. So
Sorry about that, guys.
that's fine, Samantha. You can go ahead and finish sharing your story, and then you can go right ahead and answer the advice you'd give to persons who are entering the industry.
Okay, sure, thanks. So I think I was at the part where I was promoted to being an auditor. So I've been an auditor for a year, and I must say that from I've been in the call center, environment, this is one of the most comfortable, relaxing position that I've been in, and it's rewarding as well. And to be honest, I really don't think I am leaving anytime soon to go back to the classroom. But even though I am comfortable where I am, if another available position presents itself, then I will definitely go towards it. So being in the call center, it's not just you being a contact agent all the day of your life. There are going to be positions available. You just have to be the one to put yourself out there and push for whatever you want, because there are a lot of different positions and roles in the call center that you can put yourself in. So for me, the experience now is good. It never started off easy or comfortable, but so far it's rewarding and it's comfortable. So you can work your way to where you want to be.
All right. Thanks for that, Samantha. And can I just say what a joy it is to be able to say that you really enjoy your job? I know a lot of persons cannot say that. It's so nice when you're able to enjoy your job. And that's just that because you're doing something that you love. So it's all about, even within the GSS, finding your niche, finding what it is you like to do, finding what your passion is, and then being able to work towards that so you too can enjoy your job like Samantha does. So, Samantha, going back to you, what advice
Mhm.
do you have for persons who may be unsure about entering the industry? What would you say to them?
Okay, so my advice to anyone who is unsure would be, first of all, choose the sector that works best for you. Not everything is going to be for everyone, and that can also dampen your experience, or even, in the long run of trying to enter the call center, the BPO industry. And also, if you are very particular in having or getting high salary, then this is the place for you, because there are, different bonuses, incentives that comes along with, you being in the BPO industry. And a lot of these companies, they are very generous to their employees, especially the ones that contribute a lot to the company's growth. And I mean, a lot of companies are considered, as career trap, where employees would, almost never have the chance to grow, be promoted, or, move to a higher position. But within the BPO, what I've experienced is that they always try to promote from within. So employees have the opportunity to excel in the BPO industry. And also from comprehensive training, and also initial workshops and seminars, and as like the GSS program, this will better help to develop you for the position that you may want to take on in the future. So there are a lot of benefits and a lot of positivity with entering the BPO industry. You just have to do your research and find out what is best for you. You can do it and it can work for you.
Okay, great. Thanks for that, Samantha. Going over to Kadian and Ingrid, because I know you both from the where you sit as directors of, directors and managers of development, organization development, and leadership development. What advice do you have for persons who may be unsure about the industry? Let's start with you, Ingrid.
Okay. Well, I am baffled why, persons would be unsure about, the opportunities that are there, because one thing that we are seeing is where this industry is growing, it is expanding. And it therefore means that there are good things happening. There is a reason why we are expanding so much and we are doing so well, because those who we serve are seeing the good and the great things that we're doing. Now, the advice that I would give to persons outside of this industry is that if you have, and I'll just take something from what John Maxwell says. He says, the right thought plus the right people in the right environment at the right time for
Mm.
the right reason will give you the right result. So if you enter this industry for the right reason, you have the right environment around you, which means that there is, development opportunities. There are opportunities for you to excel. We provide the coaching and the mentoring and the training that is required. And you have the right people around you. You have supporting managers. You have a team. And in our industry, we talk a lot about team, because every in these companies, operators, they break up their operations into teams, and that is to show you that collectively we have to work towards the greater good and work towards a common goal. So Maxwell puts it right out there for me that, listen, if you have that thought, which is the right thought, of being employed in an industry that's growing, that is expanding, and you have the right people around you. We already have the environment. We have the GSS services here that's providing the development opportunities, and we have our internal development opportunities as well. When it's the right time for you, just come on in and we will help you to grow. You will get that result that you want. If it's the first car that Kadian spoke about earlier, or the house that you want to achieve, but you have to be determined and you have to be disciplined and you have to be committed to working towards it, not cheating your way through, but to work towards it, and you will achieve it.
All right, awesome. Kadian?
Well said, Ingrid, and of course, Samantha. For me, definitely it's about researching to understand what the industry is about, know what direction you want to go. Remember, you're not going to start at the top. You got to climb that ladder of success. So be prepared to start at the bottom, but not stay there. Look towards growing. Now, in order for you to grow, the global services sector for Jamaica, we have so much offerings. You can check out the varying hubs to know what career path is best for you. You can definitely research different companies to know what they offer. Earlier, we spoke about the different departments other than operations where you're handling contacts. Check them out. Whatever your qualifications would better suit you for. Maybe audit and compliance, maybe security, personal, maybe reef. IT, check that out. Most definitely. For me, it's not just about having the required qualifications. You definitely have to have a growth mindset because you're coming into this industry. We're definitely going to train you and equip you, even if you're not coming in for the contact handling aspects of things. We offer leadership development programs. At VXI Global Solutions, we do a lot of that, and it's not just limited to our operations team. All departments get that. And I know for one, many other contact centers, they do offer those leadership development training. So it's we're investing in you, especially as what Ingrid would have made mention. So give it a chance. But on top of all of that, have the right attitude, the
Mm.
right skill set, be proactive, look towards growth because the growth is there, but do you want it? Are you willing to work towards it? What are you willing to do to climb that ladder of success? And don't stop there. Continue to look towards getting feedback. Don't just focus on what the company is offering you, but look towards your own professional development. Go back to school in a nutshell. Do what you need to do to continue to climb because at the end of the day, when you climb, you want to also be accredited. So you want to be in a room where you understand the language that people are speaking. I'll
Right.
leave that with you guys. So your work ethics speaks a lot and be proactive. Thank you.
So Kadian has kind of already transitioned into the next question. Yes, but before I said, I just want to say to those persons who are watching, we will be answering some of your questions. So you can go ahead and type it in the chat. I think we had a question before. We'll get to that in just a bit. So you can feel free to write your questions, and we'll see how we can address them. So I just wanted to find out, as I mentioned, Katie, and started to kind of transition into that, I think. But many persons we know enter the industry or they start out in customer service roles. So, what advice would you give to persons to ensure upward growth throughout their careers? And what qualifications or what do you really need to grow? And I know Kilian mentioned the mindset, that's a very important one, but I just want to really have you expound on uh, Samantha, Katie, and Ingrid expound on what it is that you really need. What advice would you give to persons to ensure that they really see growth throughout their careers? I'll start with you, Samantha.
Okay. So I would say first and foremost, you should always be patient, be open to feedback and criticism, because in order for you to move forward, you have to be able to take criticism, because for one, that is that is what will help you to know your weaknesses and work on them. Also, you have to want it. You can't just come in the call center and say, oh, this is where I'm going to stay and the money is okay here, so this is what I'll be doing. No, you have to want it. Also, once there are programs available that can assist you, you know, mentally and educational levels to get promoted within the companies, take on those programs, because you will learn, you will get experience, and also the more you know, it's the easier for you to be promoted. So always be open to training, feedbacks, and criticism. That will be a main factor in you being promoted or you growing within the company.
Right. Very important point, Samantha. I know a lot of persons do not like criticism, even if constructive, but the reality is that you need to be able to take constructive criticism well and be able to apply it so that you can grow. That's how growth happens. All right, let's go back to you, Kadian. If you have anything else to add apart from what you were saying before, you can go
Sure.
ahead.
Sure, thanks a lot, Tini. For me, it's all about being able to have that growth mindset, be willing to embrace change in the contact center, BPO overall. It's a dynamic environment. We're always changing. That's just it. So be willing to embrace those changes. Be open to challenges. You're going to be thrown challenges. Don't look at it as, oh my God, I got to walk away. Turn those lemons into lemonades and keep going on. Your greatest challenge may just be what you need to help you to advance your career and also help you to have strong backbone in a nutshell. Always look towards continuous development. Seek towards that because it's important for you to, as I said earlier, look towards how you are able to personally and professionally develop yourself. Have a good mentor as best as possible and just have a positive mindset. That is what is going to take you a far way. Don't come with all the negativity, and whenever negative thoughts come your way, quickly just dispel them.
All right, viewers, so let's leave the negativity at the door. Think positive, and you will be able to get where you want to go. All right, over to you, Ingrid.
What Samantha and Kadian shared just now, because patience is very important. It's
Mm,
not about microwaving things in the BPO sector. You can't microwave yourself to the top. You have to go through strides. You have to learn from your experiences over time. We have had persons who they started on the phones and they have moved up the ladder to become vice presidents. And, you know, and that, I mean, when you get to that level as vice president, it means that you have gone through quite a number of stages if you understand the structure of the industry. But for persons who are coming in, you have to have that right mindset that Kadian made mention of. And you have to be diligent. Be diligent and take pride in your work to create your brand. It's not only in the things that are fun and the things that are out there that's jivey and whatever that you should actually take pride in, but create your brand. You want to create that brand that everyone knows the quality of work that you are capable of delivering, and you become a statement piece for others to look up to. In and this is not only for those persons who are on the phone. I'm talking about everyone within the industry in every aspect where you work. And be curious enough to go out and learn more. Go out to find out what is not given to you, to find out more. How can I improve on myself? And once you have those things, I mean, the sky is the limit for you. You can enter, and you'd be surprised to see how much you advance in this industry and the responsibilities that you get. Some persons, tend to shy away from responsibility, but when they hear of the compensation that comes with it and rewards that they receive, they realize that, listen, I need to take on more of these. So definitely be patient, have the right mindset, take pride in your work and create your own brand. Be curious about learning new things so that you can continue to advance, and be willing to add more to yourself. Don't settle for where you are, but wanting to achieve more. Every day I try to improve on what I have done the day before. So I never do a session the same way I did it the day before. I always do something different about it because I want to know that, I continue to add and increase on myself.
Thanks so much for that, Ingrid. And to all three of you ladies, very salient points. I'm sure our listeners and viewers are taking notes. Before we wrap up, I think we have some questions. So we're going to go into. All right. So Ranil is asking, if you don't have a BPO background but have operations managerial experience and what to transition, how can he navigate that? This is open, so any one of you can answer.
Well, I would say, Ronil, that we have had persons who have no idea about BPO, and they enter at managerial or in the shared services sector or enterprise, as we would term it. And what we do is to give them that orientation so that they understand the culture of the industry that you're getting into. They get to know what's happening. I've worked in other organizations, and the orientation, may not have been adequate for persons coming in who may not know about the industry or that company, to gain an appreciation for how they can start adding value at the soonest time. So for you, if you are anyone who is entering, no BPO background, but you have operations management experience, it's about the skills that you're going to take. What you would need to do is to take those skills and apply it. Not just come and try to do what you always do, but look at it and contextualize your skills. Apply them to the situation, the current situation, having learned about the organization, the culture of the organization, the values that this organization stands to and represents, and apply yourself to that situation.
All right. I hope that answers your question, Ranil, and you have a little bit more clarity. Do you have any other questions? Let's see. All right, this seems like a comment. Kimberly is saying when she first heard about the GSS, it was about training, teaching, and allowing persons in the BPO sector to have other kinds of qualification in specific areas like supervisory management. So we are currently on our last cohort for the supervisory management and leadership management program. This is under the GSS apprenticeship program, which is a 12-month program. Unfortunately, we are in, as the project is in its final year. That is this year is the last year we're offering the apprenticeship program, at least under the GSS projects. All right, do we have any more questions? Okay, I think those were the questions that we have today. All right, great. So, as you have heard from this discussion, there are so many career paths and opportunities available in the GSS and, yes, in the BPO segment. So, you can go into accounting or auditing like Samantha. You can make a home in human resources or learning and training developments like Ingrid and Kadian, or talent acquisition, just to name a few. And I just want to remind our viewers who may know and those who may not be aware that the GSS project is here to help you on your professional journey. So we have the GSS Career Pathway Framework, or the CPF, that can help you learn more about roles in the industry, some of which we discussed, and help you plan your career. So our GSS CPF site is an interactive tool that uses career maps to show what a typical career looks like, and that's in terms of horizontal or vertical progression. And we have over 160 job roles across four career pathways, so across the BPO, KPO, ITO, and the newer digital media pathway. And the CPF offers detailed job description so you can find out exactly what it is you'd be expected to do on a day to day basis. We have salary scales for a range of job roles in the industry. And you're also able to see critical work functions, key tasks, the skills that are required for the job, as well as training options. And the CPF also allows you to take a self assessment test using the RISEC model to help you determine which career path best suits you. So, we talk about finding your passion, finding your niche, carving out your space in the GSS. The CPF site can help you to do that with our self assessment test. And you can also get one on one guidance from our career advisors to help you on your professional journey and just to provide the help that you need. And all of this is available to you for free, there is no cost to you. So once you sign up on the CPF at mygsscareerpathway.gov.jm, you are good to go. And then once you are clear about your career path, you can then head over to the GSS Talent Hub to view our job board with current industry vacancies. You can explore industry recommended short courses to help you stand out as a candidate, in addition to our career resources, including videos, blogs, live sessions, just as the one that we're having now, infographics, tips for creating a winning resume, acing your interview, navigating the job search process, learning soft skills, dressing for success, and much, much more. And we do have weekly content to help you put your best foot forward as you seek to enter and then grow in the GSS. So you can follow us on LinkedIn, can just search for GSS Talent Hub. So, as we wrap up, I just want to emphasize what we have discussed here today, and we can all clearly understand now that BPO companies are more than just contact centers. Yes, we have customer service and customer facing roles, but we have a multitude of other roles that you can enjoy in the BPO segment depending on your preferences. And as we heard before, it's okay to note that the segment or one particular path may not be for you, it may not be for everyone. It does come down to personality, what you like, your personal preference, but it's important just to note that talking on a headset, talking to customers, while that is a part of the BPO sector, it is not the only thing that it entails. So that's very important to note. So as you heard, it can be in HR, operations, training, recruiting, quality assurance, accounting, and other roles based on the focus of your respective companies and based on what it is that you like and what you enjoy doing. So, yes, there are opportunities for growth. And as you heard, you can come in at entry level, but you do not have to stay there, right? I think Kadian touched on that a bit. You don't have to stay there. With experience and training, you can grow in the industry and advance to more technical roles, more managerial roles, depending on your interest. And as we have heard, there are stories of persons who have grown exponentially while working in the BPO industry in the GSS. So at this time, as we wrap up, I'm just going to invite my guests, you ladies, Ingrid, Samantha, Katie, and just to share your final thoughts, your closing statements, what it is that you'd like our viewers to leave with as we prepare to wrap up. Let me start with you, Ingrid.
All right. So viewers, those of you who have been, with us for um this session rather, I'd like for you to understand that the BPO sector is one that is dynamic in nature. We offer opportunities for those who are interested, those who are willing to learn, those who have that desire to test their boundaries, those who want to shift and disturb the status quo. We have those opportunities. That's what we are looking for. Those persons who can be so flexible and it's not just, don't think of it as, oh, they just sit and talk on the phone all day. No. Some persons start there while others start in other areas. And even for contact, those persons who offer frontline services, it's not only just talking to customers or talking to, it's not just, think of it as just sales or customer service. There are other areas that we provide. There are clinical services too. You have, you will soon hear more about nurses and pharmacists interacting with their patient and providing that service. So can you imagine? It's not just what you're thinking about, just talking on the phone to customers. That's not the only thing that is offered in BPO. And the industry itself lends itself to different talent and different capabilities and different disciplines as well. So there are opportunities for those who you're looking for something new to branch out into.
All right, wonderful, Ingrid. Over to you, Samantha. Final comments, final thoughts.
So, my final comment that I would like to leave with you guys this evening is to just be open minded when going into the BPO industry. It is a very huge industry. There are different opportunities that you can take advantage of. Once you go in there, don't put yourself one place. Take advantage of all the training programs, all the educational programs that are available. Uplift yourself. Be open to criticism and feedbacks because that will help you to go where you want to go. And yes, there is money in the call center. You just have to know the right one to choose and also work for what you want. That is my final thoughts for you guys.
All right, thanks, Samantha. Over to you, Kadian.
Okay, thank you. For me, let your character and your personality speak for itself. That's definitely going to be it, because with that being said, you'll be able to get promoted because of the hard work you have definitely put into play without even applying for a particular job. Your name will be you'll be recommended for things that you never even thought that you would actually be doing. So not because you start out as an agent or anything of that sort, you may be recommended for even IT, for facilities. So people are more prone to know what are your skill set, what are your capabilities, to then recommend you. So let your character and your personality speak for itself. Be resilient. You're coming into this industry or you're thinking of it, be resilient, take chances, test the waters for yourself. Don't just listen to Samantha, Ingrid, and I, or hear all the horror stories that you typically hear on the internet. Go test it for yourself. At VXI Global Solutions, one of the things we pride ourselves to do is to talk about passion for people, where it's not just about careers, it's about a person's livelihood, it's about your future. So I'm going to say, take this opportunity after you have heard our stories today, apply, start your journey, and let your character and your personality speak for itself. Thank you.
Okay, thanks, Kadian. I think we have one final question. I'm just going to allow that final question as we wrap up. All right. Since this is the final cohort for the apprenticeship program, will the pathway remain active? So, for the GSS Career Pathway Framework, yes, we are, as a project, currently working on a plan to enable you to be able to access the CPF after the project ends. So, the answer is yes, it will remain active. All right. Thank you so much, ladies, for joining me for this discussion. And thank you to our viewers as well. Viewers, please tell us what you would want us to discuss in future live sessions on the Talent Hub. And you can share your feedback and recommendations to us by emailing us at communications_gss@jamprocourt.com, or you can just send us a message on any of our social media platforms. So you can follow us, the GSS Talent Hub, on LinkedIn and on social media, as you are seeing, Global Services Sector Jamaica on Facebook, LinkedIn, and YouTube, at GSS Jamaica on Instagram, at GSS Jamaica 1 on Twitter. You can also share the link to this session with your family and friends, those persons who may be interested in learning more about the industry and opportunities available. Share it with them. Let us know your thoughts. Once again, thank you for tuning in. That is it for today. A big thank you again to our guests, and stay tuned to the GSS Talent Hub and our social media pages for updates on our next live session. Thank you for tuning in. This is goodbye from the GSS Talent Hub.
Have a wonderful